Are you listening? This ain't no quiet thing. We're screaming out our lungs. Hey, are you listening? Hey, are you there? Hey, are you listening? Or do you just not care?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the debut episode of Hey, Are You Listening? This is a podcast that explores the past, present, and future of Christian music. My name is Joel, and I'm here with my good friend Brandon, and we connected over a mutual love of some particular artists, but also have pretty different tastes when it comes to things, and so we thought it might be fun to get together and talk from time to time and experience maybe some new artists that we both love while inviting some friends along for the ride. So I'm pumped for the journey. How are you doing, Brandon?
Doing awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited. I think of this as almost like when you walk into a record store to buy your favorite artist and you realize there's thousands of different CDs in there. And I feel like this podcast is kind of how this is. There's going to be stuff that I love that you've never heard, vice versa, stuff that neither one of us have never heard. So I'm really excited to get to explore it.
I feel like we're going to probably run into that more than we think, just inviting other people along. Since this is the first episode today, we're just going to kind of go just the two of us in this. And we decided to connect over an artist that we both have kind of a mutual love for, and that is Starflyer 59. In fact, our podcast is named after a Starflyer 59 song. So they were kind of a connection point for us. Do you remember like how that happened and how we connected over Starflyer 59?
I remember, I think I made a post on Facebook about Don Quixote's horse, and you commented it, and you were like, yeah, I love those guys. And we were talking one day, I think it was in the parking lot at church, and I made some comment about like, oh man, you know that there's a connection when someone likes an obscure band like that. And I think I used Starflyer 59 as an example, and you were like, I know those guys.
And then I'm like, is Starflyer 59 really that obscure? Because if you look at their monthly listens on Spotify, I'm pretty sure it's like in the millions. I don't even know. But yeah, I think there's a lot of love for that band out there. But today we're kind of connecting on an album that, for me at least, isn't one that I've spent a lot of time with. And so I guess a little history there. Like, tell us about your journey with Starflyer 59 and where you kind of entered into their world.
Yeah, so we've talked before that it's weird. I got introduced with My Island. So I feel like 2006 Starflyer 59 on has been the one that I've listened to a ton. So really stuff before My Island, I know very little about the band. And I feel like for a lot of people, they're like, that's the golden age of Starflyer 59 is, you know, the earlier stuff, the stuff. And so yeah, with this album in particular, I never listened to it. I just feel like it's cool when you go back and I love making playlists on my own where it's just looking back at songs from like 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. So with this one being the 20th anniversary, I thought, man, it's cool to open up the catalog and jump into it.
I love that. And I love that we both like came across them in completely different eras and different ways. I remember, I think the first time I ever heard a Starflyer 59 song was probably like a Songs from the Penalty Box or some Tooth and Nail sampler. Yeah. But specifically what captured me is I got like a Tooth and Nail video sampler and it had a video for, I think, a Housewife Love Song or whatever. And I was like, what is going on? This is so interesting to me. And then they also were on a Steve Taylor tribute record called I Predict a Clone, where I think they covered just a bunch of different artists covered a bunch of Steve Taylor songs. And Starflyer covered his song Sin for a Season. Oh, wow. And it's still one of my favorite like covers. Really cool and just super heavy. Yeah. And I was like, this is really awesome. But I don't think I actually bought a Starflyer record until Fashion Focus came out, which is their fourth I think their fourth record.
Okay.
And so I went real deep and real hard for a little while, and then I fell out before you got into it, before My Island came around. And then later on, with, I think it was I Am a CEO, came back in, and I've been invested a lot in the record since then. And so I kind of have like a missing era for me, which is where the record we're going to talk about today falls in at. And it seems like it's maybe a little bit of a missing era for you too. So today our episode is entitled, Hey, Are You Listening to Talking Voice versus Singing Voice by Starflyer 59. So why are we talking about this record today if it's not one that either one of us has like a ton of connection with?
Yeah, I felt like the easiest way to jump into it was, like I said, going back to like the anniversaries of stuff. And so for me, it was, all right, well, this one falls under that. It's 20 years old, so let's just jump into this one. So really, it's just, I guess, rolling the dice and saying, all right, this one, that's what we'll do.
Yep. So here we are, the 20th anniversary of Talking Voice versus Singing Voice. And so we're going to get into that eventually. But before we do that, we want to talk about what's in the news.
What's in the news? What's in the news?
So let's get to it. What's been going on in the world of Christian music lately? It's been kind of an interesting year in the world of Christian music. We've had like CCM Magazine reappear all of a sudden. And so we're finding these like avenues to explore and promote what's happening in the world of Christian music. Oddly enough, for somebody like me who watched the Dove Awards when I was in junior high and high school, the Dove Awards are still around. And actually the nominees for the 2025 Dove Awards just came out. And so I wanted to see for you, if you could make a guess today in 2025, who would be the nominees for Artist of the Year at the Dove Awards. So what do you think? Who would you pin?
Man, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I would have been completely lost, because this is where like only listening to like indie music hurts you.
Right.
So you're like, who are the kids listening to these days? But being back in our grade school ministry at church, I feel like it's helped me connect a little bit more with what's popular. So if I had to take a wild guess, I would say Phil Wickham up there. Forrest Frank's got to be on that list. We play him nonstop back there.
So you're 2 for 2 so far. Doing great.
Lauren Daigle.
Yep, 3 for 3.
You got to have Toby Mac on there.
Sorry. There's no Toby Mac.
I'm officially out of touch now.
You're doing well. Any other guesses?
Josiah Queen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 4 for 5.
Okay, yeah, I think that's where my luck's gonna run out on there.
Well, you're missing one of the biggest, and in fact, he's a Charleston.
Brandon Lake.
Brandon Lake, yes, your namesake, the guy you were. No, I'm just kidding. Brandon Lake is on the list, and then also we got CeCe Winans, which I wonder how many Dove Awards CeCe Winans has been nominated for over her career. Pretty cool. So yeah, that's interesting. I'll tell you one thing for me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, that I think is good. I think if we were making this list 5 years ago, it probably would have all been worship artists. But I'm beginning to see, and they may not be like my thing necessarily, but I'm beginning to see that there are like Christian artists, like Christian music. There's a re-emergement of it that's happening. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think even in the world of worship, I remember growing up and not wanting to touch worship at all. And in the past couple of years, there's been a change of, because it used to just be, man, this stuff's just so shallow. Like, I'm a really big lyric person, and I feel like now there's a lot of stuff that, like, people will classify it as worship, but to me, I'm like, no, this isn't. Like, this is more better than like what I assume worship is. And so I feel like it's nice just seeing that there is a depth, and it's songs you would share with someone versus like, oh, don't open that door, don't go listen to that. I feel like it is cool seeing that like I say, even just someone like a Forrest Frank. Like there's people that might think like, oh, that's kind of like goofy or whatever, but it's cool having someone that you can tell that he's putting effort into it. It's not just how can we pump out as many songs as possible or whatever. It's let's put some thought and effort into this. And I feel like it's refreshing.
Yeah, I think that was an intentional thing for him. I remember when I first started seeing Forrest Frank popping up on social media, that a lot of his like thoughts and ideas were like, how do we just re-engage with this idea of Christian music, which I think is a cool thing. And so I'm kind of, I'll be honest with you, for the longest time, I felt like in my college years, which has been a while at this point, but I got so like over the whole Christian music thing, and I'm like, music can't be Christian, only people can. but like I've missed that when it disappeared for so long, and all we were left with is worship music. And worship music, I think, is valuable and has its place. But there's like a whole world that I grew up in that's like gone, has been gone for so long. And so I'm excited to see it begin to find its place again. All right, next news item. So kind of jumping more into the world that I'm more familiar with and I've spent more time in. My buddy Andrew went to a show last Friday night in Jacksonville, Florida at the Murray Hill Theater. Have you heard of this place? So it's like, I don't know how long it's been around, but I know that I was in a band in college, and we played at Murray Hill Theater once. Really cool venue, and it's like basically a Christian rock venue. Yeah, and somehow it has survived over the last like 30 years, and is still like a thing. It's still there, and so the other night, I guess last weekend. My friend Andrew went on Friday night. They had like a co-headlining show, and it was Goaty Hook and 5 Iron Frenzy. And then Saturday night was Bleach that was playing. And I remember like I saw a picture of the marquee, and it was like Goaty Hook, 5 Iron Frenzy, Bleach. And I'm like, is this from like 1998? Like, what is going on right now? But I just think that's so cool to see that happen again and see that these things are happening. And we kind of had the chance to get to know a couple of the guys from Bleach a little bit, who spent some time with us at our church. And really cool guys. I'm excited for them. Like they're like getting ready for Furnace Fest that's coming up this year, and playing back there. But I just thought it's so cool to see that going. And I can't imagine how like a venue like that still exists. Yeah. But I think it's another one of those like exciting signs for maybe like where things are going with Christian music. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit before we get into where we're going with Starflyer. Let's talk a little bit about maybe what we've been listening to lately that falls like into this world of Christian music. So for you, what have you been spending time listening to?
Man, it's an awesome band. It's called The Last Bison. And it's funny because they released the first single back in 2020, and then they just released the EP this week. So I think they made a comment about like, oh, I don't know if there's ever been an EP where like the lead single was like 4 years before the EP. But it's a nice, just 4 songs. So it's like in and out EP, but they are just so talented. Like they're great live. Their music's awesome. It's a really, really good EP. So yeah, it's been pretty much on repeat on my phone since.
That's
cool. I think
cool.
last Friday it came out. So yeah,
you're gonna have to send that to me because I have no idea. Like what kind of style is it? What are
they? So the first time I saw them, they were all dressed up like people from like the colonial era. Like they were all dressed up as like you had teleported people from like the 1800s or whatever. And it was just really like acoustic and just like there's no like electric instruments or anything. And then it was all like a bunch of friends and family. So then they changed it up. So now it's just like 2 of the original members, and it's more of like, I guess like an indie type of. So I tell people it's like they plugged in the instruments. Is like so it's really cool. So if you really like acoustic stuff, they've got like a ton of that in their library. And then if you like stuff that's got a little bit more of a like kick with like his like indie rock or like indie pop rock or whatever. It's really good. So yeah, they fall into that. So they got a little bit of it. There's like a buffet. They got a little bit for everyone in their discography.
That sounds fun. I'm gonna have to go check that out. Yeah, for me, there's been a couple of things. One, have you listened to the new record by the Rocky Valentines yet? Do you know who the Rocky
no, not
Valentines
yet.
are?
I've listened to them a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason Martin from Starflyer. This is his kid, Charlie, I think is his name, who has this band. And their first record, he recorded all of it by himself, but he's like gathered some musicians together. And so they have a new record called Music on the Shelf. And it's really good. It's got a really good vibe. It's a little like all over the place, but if you like Starflyer and you took that and maybe kind of made it a little more, I don't even know, a little more exciting, or poppy, then you might have a good picture of like what that record looks like. But there's some really cool guitar work, and so I've been enjoying that. And the other one for me is like a throwback. It's a remaster of a record that just came out. That's been like basically MIA, missing in action. It hasn't been on streaming or anything. But there's a band called Rose Blossom Punch from the late 90s, and they put out a record that I used to listen to a lot called Ephemere. And Rose Blossom Punch, you know Aaron Sprinkle? So Aaron Sprinkle was like the guy behind Rose Blossom Punch. It was I think it was after Poor Old Lou. He went into that, but it's such a good record, and so they really took it and like transformed it, and it sounds so good, and so that one's been fun to like go back into and dig into. So I've really enjoyed that. Yep,
That's really cool.
yep. All right, so it's time for us to get into our discussion of the record Talking Voice versus Singing Voice by Starflyer 59. And so just a little bit of history for the record. I'll kind of lay some things out for us. If you follow Starflyer 59, you know they've been through some shifts in sound over time. You were even talking earlier about other shifts you felt like have been happening. But they've definitely had some musical ones. And so from like the early kind of shoegaze sound of Silver and Gold to the more like pop synth focused sounds of like Fashion Focus and Everybody Makes Mistakes, which is those are my favorite records by them. Then like more shifts with Old, and then I Am the Portuguese Blues kind of like went backwards a little bit. And so then this record, Talking Voice versus Singing Voice, saw the band change the sound sort of again, a little bit of more of a follow-up to Old than I Am the Portuguese Blues had been. And so this record came out on April 12th, 2005. It's the 9th full-length studio release from Starflyer 59. And for this record, if you followed at all Starflyer 59's like journey as far as like band members have gone, I mean, it's definitely always been Jason Martin, and sometimes been only Jason Martin. And I, for the recording of this record, it was a little lighter than it has been for a lot of other albums. And so this record was two members, Jason Martin and drummer Frank Lenz. And Frank Lenz is one of the like best drummers who's out there. But this would be the first studio album for them to kind of be cut down to this like really small crew putting this thing together. And I feel like that impacts the way this record comes off a little bit. Did you feel that at all when you were going through it and listening to it?
Yeah, I was thinking while I was listening to it, as someone who doesn't know a lot of like pre My Island Starflyer 59, I was wondering, and I think this is a question for you kind of just as we go about this reviewing albums, how much does the background of an album pour into that album? Because for me, I think an album, if you tell me this one person did it, or this one person, this whole thing is it's songs that their kid wrote and they turned it into like these songs.
Yeah.
To me, that adds points. But I think for other people, they'd be like, no, I don't care what the story is behind it. It's almost like, I guess, like American Idol, how it used to be talent, but now it's like, what's your story? You know?
Yeah.
And so for you, like when you go into an album, do you think like do you want me to say, hey, here's 10 facts about the backing, or do you want to say, no, I want this just to be in a chamber. I don't want to know Starflyer's other albums. I want to know this album. Someone just turned it on. Would I say it's good or bad?
Yeah, I feel like you can't divorce a record from the context in which it was created.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you look at a kid and you're like, I'm just going to look at this kid and not examine like their parents at all and see how these things came together to create this thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole family matters.
Yeah.
And all those things have to go together a little bit. So for me, yeah, like there are records, like one of my favorite albums is a record by Sufjan Stevens called Carrie and Lowell. And if you just listen to that record without understanding anything about the context, you would be like, this is the most depressing thing that I've ever listened to in my life. And if you divorce that from the fact that he wrote that record during a time where he had just lost his mom and was grieving the fact of losing his mom and even their history together, because it had been a really rocky history. I don't think you can like understand that album without that context. And so I do feel like context matters, at least for me. I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
No, I think for me that's a struggle sometimes. Is even just like going forward with ones. I know there's gonna be artists that I'm like, oh man, I was tied to this album 20 years ago, or man, this song was so good live. But it's like, okay, that's, you know, like, does that really? Am I gonna give an album 5 stars because I was like, live it was amazing? You know, how does that go? And I think for me too, it is hard to give like a bad grade or whatever if you know that it went into this or whatever. So yeah, I think that's definitely a struggle, and I'm very like envious of those people that can be like, no, here it's very cut and dry. This is good or this is bad. So yeah, but I think that's what's nice about an album like this is that, like I said, I had no idea that it was like 2 people or whatever. So I feel like it's almost like it's a less personal decision and more just a business decision of if it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a little off the hook with this one versus like some of their later ones. I feel like it's a little more personal of like, this album means a lot to me, so it's amazing. I don't care if the drums or mixing's bad. This lyric helped me.
Right. Yeah. I hear that. And like I said, I think those things are all kind of go together. Anything else for you? Just kind of, any other opening thoughts or ideas like going into this before we really start digging into the songs?
I think I'm good. I think I'm ready to go ahead and dig in.
All right. Well, on that, let's do it. Let's go into it. And so we would just encourage you as we talk through these things, because we're not legally allowed to play them for you as we talk. But that doesn't mean that you can't go and hit play on a stereo that you have while we talk through these tracks. And so if you want to do that while we're walking through it, it may give you a better feel and context for some of the things that we're talking about. So the first track on Talking Voice versus Singing Voice is the song "The Contest Completed." What were your thoughts on this one, Brandon?
I think it's a good opener, and I think it sets the tone. I think for me with albums, I almost see them as a movie or a concert. So it's like, I feel like you need to like hook me with it. There's been some albums where I'm like, yeah, first 3 tracks, you can skip those, but it gets really good at track 4. So for me, that's really important. And I think this one, it sets the tone for what to come the rest of the album. Like there's really not, they don't stray away from like the Starflyer formula. So I think it's a good opener.
Yeah, I think that's true. And Jason Martin tends to put records together in that way. Like there's kind of a common sound or theme that runs throughout the course of most of the record. And I think this is a great opener for this one, and probably one of my favorite tracks on the record. There's that like high, like little synth melody that's happening like in the opening, and I'm just like addicted to that thing. The melody of it's so good, and then like the sound of it is so good. and it really, like, I'm not much of a dancer, but
Yeah.
the song makes me want to move. But honestly, though, then we get to the chorus, and it's not my favorite Starflyer chorus, and so it kind of holds me back a little bit on that one. But I do think that I think it's a good track, and I liked how at the end there's like this movement that happens where all of a sudden you hear this piano, and I think is what an accordion happening, and that was a cool like texture change.
Yeah.
So for me, I gave this one rating out of a 1 to 5. I gave this track a 4. I thought I liked it. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
I think going forward, you can expect number grades for each song. I feel like for me, I'm more of a we'll wait to the end to see what what's in the gumbo.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, we can kind of wrap some of that up when we talk about what some of our favorite tracks are, as well as we get to it. All right. Track number 2 is Easy Street. Easy Street. I liked so this record, because there's not like a bass player on it.
Yeah.
All of the bass is like synth bass. And so I feel like because of that, it's really fun to listen to on headphones because it sounds really big and full.
Yeah.
I love the bass on this because of like the synth that's going on. And there's also something that we get introduced to more on this song that is a constant through a lot of the record, and that is strings.
Yeah.
This is the string record for
Yeah.
Starflyer 59. I mean, they're like all over it. But I really like that and appreciate it. And the chorus to me was uplifting. Like there's this like rising kind of synth part that's happening on it, and I thought that was really cool. And I liked where the chorus was going. To me, this song's like this is orchestral Starflyer 59.
Yeah. I think for me, so I like to. I feel like listen to an album 2 or 3 times before I review it, because there's things you miss the first. You only listen through it one time, and out of all the songs, this was the one that I think that I grew to like more and more. Like all the other ones kind of stayed where there wasn't anything else I really found in them. But yeah, this one was that I feel like the more you listen to it, the more you picked up, and I like different stuff about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I even felt there was like a muted trumpet or something at some point, which was cool. Yeah. It was a good track. It was a good track. For me, 3.5. So, all right. You want to talk us through track number 3?
Yeah, so we're looking at Good Sons. For me with this one, I thought it was a really cool verse and chorus transition. I really like that section where you have this verse and you're going and then you shift over to the chorus. So to me, I really like that. I think it was one of the highlights of the album for me.
Yeah, I really love this one a lot. It's kind of a jam. Makes me want to move a little bit. The synthesizers on this thing are so big.
Yeah.
And the fuzz guitars all together. And it's like you've got this big thing going on, and then you just want to like groove at the same time. So it's kind of a cool like mix of stuff that's going on. I can like hear some of Jason's brothers, like Ronnie. I can hear a little bit of like Ronnie influence on this track a little bit too, which is a fun thing that you get sometimes with the Martin brothers.
Yeah. I think for me, the next track, A List Goes On, it was a song that kind of I felt like the violin was a nice touch, and this song was kind of separated from the other songs. And like before we recorded, I was making I was equating Starflyer to in the show Parks and Rec. There's a character, Ron Swanson, and they're having this like burger cook-off. Yeah. And the other character does this like all these ingredients, all these sauces, a marinade, blah, blah, blah. And then Ron just walks up and says, "It's just meat and bread. And you can ketchup if you want, I don't care." And I think that's what Starflyer is that it's very basic, like what they're doing, but they do it so well. Yeah. Like it's not there's a lot of people that it would get boring. So I think some of their albums, if you don't really know the band, it can kind of start to sound the same. Yeah. So I think for me, not really knowing, being familiar with the album, this one was cool to kind of separate, that it wasn't okay, here's kind of the regular formula. It's a little bit different. So I like the change of pace with it.
Yeah, I love the like opening of it because it felt really different. And then there's like the strings in this song are like total bonkers, but in such a fun way. Yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it too. Not like my favorite track on the record, but I think a good and fun one nonetheless. So track 5 is Nightlife. This one just reminded me again, like the synth bass on this record's so good and just so present. It's so good to listen to with headphones. And then also one of my favorite musical instruments, if it's done well in the case of a song, is present here, and that's the hand clap, which you don't hear a ton on Starflyer albums, but that was cool. And you've got organ. This song just reminded me that this, in some ways, like this album is like all over the place.
Yeah.
Just in like, it's like all over the place in some really interesting ways. I feel like he was just trying some things creatively. And it's got a really awesome like drum jam breakdown thing that happens towards the end of the song. So you get to experience Frank Lenz in a pretty cool way.
This song, the first thing I thought of when I heard it was Jason's side project Neon Horse. And I was like, this sounds like it could be like I kept on waiting for like Mark Solomon's voice to come in with the like singing. So I feel like it was cool, like just to think of it as that and be like, oh man, you can see a lot of the similarities. So I guess it's not really a comment on the track. It's more of like, man, Neon Horse is cool. And it got me thinking like, man, what if they covered some of their old like songs from their different projects? But I guess it's a very unrelated review of the song.
Yeah, I get it. For me, this one is just kind of mid. Again, it's not like one of my favorite tracks, but yeah, moving into track number 6, Good Living. I really want to hear what you thought about this one.
I think with this one, I think Starflyer 59 does such a good job of feeling sincere. And I feel like the song was very like emotional. And I really liked it. I think this was the first track that made me like stop and be like, oh, let me listen to that again. But yeah, I think they just do such a good job that like, I don't know if I can think of a song I've listened to theirs where I thought, I don't think he really feels this way. And I think this song really showcases, it showcases to me a lot of the stuff that I've loved or come to love from like my era of Starflyer that I'm into. Is it feels like more of a, I guess, post 2006 or 7 or whatever. Yeah, Starflyer.
So I'm just gonna put it out there. This is my favorite track on the record. I love this song. Yeah, I love the like slow like drive of it at the beginning. The vocal melody is so good. Yeah. And I also have a special place in my heart for an artist that's not afraid to like address his faith anymore. And so it's cool to see that happen here. And of course, there's a history of that with Starflyer, not in an overdone way at all, but in a, like you said, like a really just real and authentic kind of way that you can tell that this is what he believes as he's getting in here. And it's got one of my favorite lines from the whole record too. But yeah, I love this track. Track number 7, Softness, Goodness. For me, this is fun. It's got hand clapping again. It's got a fun opening. Like I feel like this song is a vibe. But I don't have a lot to say. For me, it was kind of like, that's a track that's there. It didn't really stand out. And maybe it's just because I love like you go from this high of the next track and then you're like, oh, okay, this other one. Like, so maybe it's like the placement of it. But yeah, for me, it was like, oh, okay, like it's nothing bad about it. But it didn't stand out. Yeah, it is a good one. And so I'm thankful for sure that it's there. But all right, tell us about track number 8. We're getting close to the end. Something Evil.
Yeah, for me, I think like again, I didn't really have a lot of notes on it. I felt like maybe towards the end it kind of just started dropping off for me. Wasn't like a bad song, and I think this is probably another song that like the third time I listened through I liked it a little bit more. Yeah, for me it was like I liked it but didn't really like stand out or anything.
Yeah. I mean, you can play any Starflyer 59 song for me, and I don't think there's any that I would say that I like dislike. But this is probably my least favorite track on the record.
Yeah.
And even in the beginning, I'm like, where is this song going? Like, what's going on? But yeah. Track number 9, Longest Line. Another moment where Jason's not afraid to like address his faith. Yeah. What'd you think through that one?
I think it's another one that it feels very different from the album. So I really like that, and I think it was a great ending because, like I said, there's some albums that they don't get good till the beginning, and there's some albums that it's front loaded with all of the great stuff. But I feel like for this one, I liked it, and honestly, like I started thinking a lot about, I wonder if it would change the album if you swapped this one and the first song around. And just seeing like, oh man, I feel like this one you are ending on like I feel like a higher note.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that about it.
Yeah, I think its placement is good. I love the synthesizers in it, and again, is another one where I'm like, I wonder if Ronnie had something to do with this, like at some level. But yeah, I thought it was a good ending track for this record. So, kind of overall, then, where does this Starflyer record sit for you in the pantheon of Starflyer 59 albums?
I think for me, I would give it probably a 3. I'd say a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I felt like it's not my favorite album, but there was nothing about it that I felt like was like, I'm never going to listen to this again. And to me, that's a good mark of an album, is walking away from it. Like, am I going to go back and listen? Am I going to add it to playlist? So yeah, I think I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, like not having really spent a lot of time with it before this, and listening to it. I'm listening to it and I'm like, I want to listen to this more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it drew me in, and yeah, it may not be in my like top 5 Starflyer 59 records, but I think with any record Jason puts out, there's always like something that draws me in, and then I want more of it. So I can see myself listening to Good Living for years to come. I love that track, and I think there's probably several in here that I'm gonna end up adding to different playlists or whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a good record, and so that is a wrap on Talking Voice versus Singing Voice, which is the first album that we've covered on our podcast, Hey, Are You Listening?, which is really fun. One of the things that we want to do every week, because we have this connection over Starflyer 59, is that we want to highlight a lyric from a Starflyer 59 song that we're going to call the Lyric of the Week every week.
It's time for the lyric of the time.
So the lyric of the week for this week is from the song Good Living, and it's this: what's the use of living if you can't make a good living? What is that? What does that mean?
It's good. I don't know what it is.
It's a great line, and you can tell he thinks it's a great line because he repeats it over and over in that song. But I have to agree with him. I love it. I love the wordplay that's there. It almost seemed a little like of a paradox from like what he's talking about earlier in the song, which is interesting. But that's one I'd love to pick his brain about. But I think it's a great line. I love that. Yeah. So, All right, well, we are wrapping up our first episode. As we do that, I want to let you know where you can find us on the internet. So we are on X at Hey Are You Pod. You can come find us there, and both of our handles are there as well if you want to follow us individually. We're working on some other stuff and hoping to have a social media presence out there too, so we'd love for you to come and connect with us there. Also, if you enjoy what you've heard, we'd love for you to keep listening to future episodes, and so you can you can subscribe, you can rate us. However you like, hopefully well, but we would love for you to continue to join us on this journey. Anything you want to say to wrap up?
No, I'm pretty excited. Like I said at the beginning, I'm pretty excited to visit all these new songs and visit some old albums I loved. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff ahead. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Hey, are you listening?